You see, you thought there wasn't any sound for a minute, but there is sound. I know occasionally we've done things with no sound. But hello, welcome to the Open Door Show from Property CEO. That's us here. My name's Richie Clapson. You can see that is typed at the bottom of the screen. And I'm here with the other half of Property CEO, the slightly taller other half, Mr. Ian Child. You want to say good evening, Ian?
Good evening, everyone. Good to have you here.
Good stuff. Look, it's great to have you with us. And over the next 45 minutes, as always, we're going to be taking a deep dive into the world of small-scale property development. Isn't that right, Mr. Child?
Certainly is. We're going to be covering some of the latest news items as well. And during the course of Open Door, we quite often talk to the movers and shakers in the world of property. We're trying to get a bit of a handle on what's going on out there, and in particular, to see if we can shine the spotlight on some opportunities, some areas of opportunity that we think might be of interest to people looking at development.
That is absolutely correct. What Ian said there is absolutely correct. But do you know what the most important thing is? I think probably our regular guests here will know that, our regular people that come and visit us, our little family of CEOs, above all, we're here to have a bit of fun. Life is far too short. There's lots going on in life, which is not brilliant. You know, there's some bad stuff going on. But here, this little 45 minutes is a bubble of positivity, and you can come in here and we make no apologies for having a bit of fun, having a laugh and enjoying ourselves for 45 minutes. That's what we're doing. But of course, we need you to join in. So please, this is a question and answer show. So, you know, if you don't have any questions, well, we won't have any answers, and it makes the show a little bit boring. So please put any questions or comments, of course, polite ones, please, in the chat box, and we will try and get them answered before the end of the show. That is the plan. So Ian, what have we got coming up tonight?
Well, this particular episode is entitled, Are You Struggling to Find a Property Development Deal? So to be honest, not easy finding great deals, but there's certainly some things that you can do to increase your chances of success. So Richie will be walking us through some great tips about finding properties that are going to tick that box, but also how you can make a healthy profit at the back end too, aren't you, Richie?
Apparently so. I wonder what I was going to be doing this evening. That's great. I better go and prepare for that in just a moment. But first of all, give us a wave, give us a hands up. Make sure you can hear and see us both. Give us a quick wave, please.
Oh yeah,
lots of waves coming in. Good. Right, I'm going to lower all the hands now, get rid of those. Who have we got on this evening? Let's have a look. Jess has just joined us, Nars joined us, Helen's on, Tanya's on, Dorothy's on, Tracy's on, Christian's on, Dan's on. Hello Dan. Jeremy's on. Hello Jeremy. Annel's on, Greg's on, Monica's on, Darren's on, Damien. Hello Damien. No guest tonight, Damien, just us, so you have to put up with that, my friend. Bless you. Joanne's on. Sam's on. Hello Sam, good evening to you. Iddy's on, Patrick's on, Raj is on, Bippin's on, Luke's on. Oh my God, Emilia's on, Henry's on, Lucas is on. You know, there's quite a lot of you. I could go on. Maybe we should just do the whole show announcing who's on. And in 45 minutes time, we could finish. I wouldn't have to then come up with something about property development, would I, Ian? What do you think about that?
That's a good idea. Send in your birthdays, any requests?
Yeah, we could do little sing songs. Dan says, good evening, gents. Oh, hello, Dan. Good evening to you. Tanya says, good evening. Hello, Tanya. Nice to see you on. And Darren says, hi, guys. Nice to see you both. Amelia says, great to be back on here. Missed you last week, first show, but nice to be here in 2022. Amelia, it's good to have you here as well. Lucas says, good evening, folks. Looking dapper as always. I think that's probably me, not necessarily you, Ian.
Fair enough.
I don't know. I'm not saying it might be you. I'm not saying. I'm just saying not necessarily you. So don't assume it's you, because it's quite likely to be me that looks a bit more dapper than you.
I completely understand.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Anyway, we like to do a bit of news items, and Ian is our regular newscaster. So if I can hand over to Ian. Ian, can you give us the news, please?
I can. Do I have to do the? Yeah.
Perfect.
Right, a few bits here. I've got a little bit more of an update on the residential property market. Apparently the busiest start ever to a new year. Record number of people wanting to move homes. What have we got? We've got a strong demand to move, but a low supply of homes. Continuing into 2022, causing the busiest ever start to a new year, according to Rightmove. So inquiring buyers, or buying inquiries are up 15% higher than last year. The number of available homes for sale per estate agency branch has dropped to a new record of just 12. So they'll be fighting over themselves to sell you a property. And competition among buyers is around double what it was last time this year. So a bullish start to the residential market. in January. We shall see how that story unfolds as we go forward. Got another one here from where's this one from? Property Week, and they're reporting on office stock, and they're saying, yeah, it has shrunk hugely as COVID drives a flight to quality. So for those that thought that the impact of COVID-19 on the office market would be a flash in the pan, you need to think again. Basically, that in the year to March 2021, apparently the amount of office space that has been completely lost to the market in England and Wales is the equivalent of 239 football pitches. So for those of you that measure your office space in football pitches, there's 239 that have gone, which I think is interesting. We've often talked about what's happening to businesses that are downsizing and where the opportunities are to put perhaps office space in other locations for those people that are kind of flexi working or working from want to work close by home. So yeah, that trend looks set to continue. And then this one caught my eye, which was it's about the residential market again, but it's about chain-free properties. So somebody has done, a company called getagent.co.uk have done some analysis, and they've worked out that the home buyers are willing to pay a premium for a chain-free property. So no massive surprise there. But according to the research, the amount that they're willing to pay over and above the average is 10.8%. So people are, on average, that's about 25 grand. They're prepared to pay more to get themselves a chain-free property, which, yeah, I thought was quite a lot. But there you go, just goes to show. I think a lot of that is due to yeah, the long delays that have been incurred in the buying and selling over the last 18 months or so. But yeah, interesting nonetheless. There you go. That is the news. Do I have to do the thing with the paper again at the end? I can't remember.
You need to do the paper shuffle at the end and take the pen and put it in your pocket.
I haven't got a pocket. Okay.
You've got a pocket. Well, there you are. You failed straight away. Unbelievable.
Okay.
Good stuff. Yvette's just joined us. Hello, Yvette. A little bit late, but don't worry, we won't hold that against you. You are welcome. And also Harvey and Harjinder's just joined us. You're both a little bit late. Again, we won't hold that against you, but you missed out on all the prizes that we gave away at the top of the show. So never mind. No one wanted those prizes anyway. So here we go. What am I going to be talking about? Well, I'm going to talk about finding deals. So let's give me a wave. Now, I know probably some of you aren't in property. Give me a wave if you're struggling to find deals and you're in property. Okay, you might be a student of ours or not, struggling to find deals. Yeah, a few hands going up. A few hands. Yvonne's just joined us. Hello, Yvonne. She always gets up late. She's probably been sleeping in out of an afternoon siesta. She's just joined. So's Raj as well. Look, they're coming on late, all these people. Unbelievable. So, yeah, quite a few hands going up. People struggling to find properties. It's not easy, is it? Eh? But you know, the great thing is, if it was easy, everyone would do it. So it's good that it's difficult. So what I just want to sort of touch on tonight is you know, what is it you've got to do to ensure your success? What is it that you can do that perhaps other people don't? What are the tricks of the trade? You know, what can you do again that's perhaps a little bit cleverer? And of course, when you find something, what do you do with it? Maybe that's another challenge for a lot of people. So a few thoughts there on what you've got to do and what to think about in terms of finding deals. Hang on a minute, my screen just froze. No, it's all back on. Sorry, screen froze then. I wasn't sure you could all see me, but I think you probably can. So let's talk about finding deals. First of all, let's look at the default option. What do most people do out there? Well, what is it you probably, or most of you are doing is probably going on the portals. Yeah, you sit on the portals, the Rightmove, the Zoopla, the Estates Gazette. Yeah, it's okay. You know, I know you've cracked how to work those and you've got yourself the alerts. Yeah, look at me. I've got my alerts going and they're popping in even on a Sunday morning. Yeah, okay. So you're sat there on a Sunday morning, you're getting an alert or a Wednesday afternoon of a new project that's come in and you think you're ahead of the game. No, I mean, that's better than not having the alerts and it's better than not being on the portals altogether. But let me ask you a question, okay? Do you think that established developers sit and look at their alerts each morning looking for the next big deal? I'll give you a clue. The answer's got two letters, it's not three, and it begins with N and ends in O. They don't. Of course they don't. They do not sit there. I don't know of any established developers who sit there looking on the portals waiting for the next deal. It just doesn't happen. Why not? Look, the truth is, and this is the truth, around 50%, half, that is, you can work it out. I've worked it out. 50% is half of 100 because you put 50 and 50, that gets 100, not difficult. Half of the deals out there that are done in this country do not come to the market. They don't come on the general market. Where do they go? What happens? Well, it's about relationships. Now, students of ours will know this. Again, there's a few of our students on, and you know this. I have to say, though, even our students don't always listen to this. So if you're brand new, listen to this. And if you're one of our students, try and remember this. Otherwise, I go off on a rant when we have our training days in the room and we talk about relationships, building relationships with agents. If you want to go out there and find a good deal, okay, the number one place that you're going to get that deal is from an agent. And by the way, please, as we go through, put any questions in about any of this in the chat box and we'll try and answer them. Now, why is this? You might think, well, why don't we just go on the portals? Surely all those agents put their deals on the portal. No, they don't. But you might be saying, well, Clapson, hey, you're wrong. There definitely are deals on the portals from agents in my area. Yes, they are. But they're rubbish deals. Okay, that's what they tend to be. Okay, let me ask you another question. Okay, how many photographs do the agents, commercial agents, generally put on their portals? One. That's a pretty good average, I would think. How many photographs does a residential agent put on? Probably about 50, and a flyby video and all sorts of other things and floor plans. Residential agents don't put much on there. Why are they not putting much information on the portals? What do you think that is? Maybe because they don't need to. Okay, maybe because actually they probably either already sold that property. And let me ask you this again, answer this for yourself. Have you ever rung up about a property that you've seen on the portals, you got an alert on a Sunday morning, and Monday morning, 8:30, bang, on the phone, and they go, I'm ever so sorry, that's been sold. And you go, damn, I need to get up at 7 o'clock and get on there. You know, it's like booking a doctor's appointment, isn't it? Doctor's appointment, you've got to go on there these days. What a nightmare that is. And you've got to be on there on a redial to get your doctor's appointment. And someone gets in. Or booking concert tickets. No, that's not what happened. It's probably already on there and it's being sold. They put it on there, it's already been sold. Why? Where? Who? How? What? The black book. They probably rung someone. They might have rung me. They might have rung Ian. They might have rung another established developer out there and said, look, that's like a telephone. Do you know, someone was saying the other day, the young population don't understand that's a telephone. And actually, you're supposed to do this. The mobiles are square. But the old phones were like that, weren't they? So the point is, they'd probably ring, okay, they'd probably ring around and go, I've got this property coming up, it's a disused shop, etc., 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 right up your street, just in the area you want, in the sort of budget, are you interested? I might say no, they ring Ian. Ian says, yes, thanks very much, I'll do the deal. Sometimes they still put it up. Now you might go, well, why on earth are they putting it up? Well, it's advertising, isn't it? If none of these agents, commercial agents, put anything up on the portals, they would not be advertising. So in a way, it's an advertising platform. It brings people in and it brings contacts and that to them. So they have an awareness. But the majority of the deals go outside of the portals. So established developers will not sit on the portals. They'll not be waiting for their alerts. And when I talk about building relationships, you need to build a relationship. You need to build rapport. I don't mean like a relationship. I mean a relationship. So you get to know them. You know what they're about. You know what their name is. You know what their surname is. You know if they're married. You know if they got kids. You know what their hobbies are. You know what they like to do. And you follow up. Don't just pop into an agent and think they're going to send you all the deals straight away. Okay. Now, aside from that, you have to demonstrate credibility. And there's a whole nother story there. Not going to talk about that this evening, because if you go in without credibility, forget it. You won't get it. You'll get a deal, be rubbish. Yeah, no problem at all. We'll send you a few deals. They'll be rubbish deals. So that is, I mean, you know, tips and tricks. The bottom line, this is simple, okay? But it's so simple that people don't do it. And the tips and tricks are get to know them, build the relationships. Don't go in and say, I was presenting at an event on Monday evening. Some of you might actually be on, where I was up in Watford presenting, so I'm not sure, quite a lot of people on. If you are, hello again. And one of the questions, we did a bit of role play in the room, and I sort of said, so just pretend you're a new developer going in. You know, what are you asking for? And he said, well, hello there, hi, I'm so-and-so, I'm looking for a good deal. I said, I'm glad you qualified you're looking for a good deal, because I thought you were looking for a bad deal. But this is the sort of ridiculous things that newbie developers go and say. Yes, I'm looking for a good deal, something that makes profit. Really? Wow, unbelievable. Never thought that. I thought you're looking for a bad project that lost a lot of money in an area nowhere near where you live. You look a fool. So it is about demonstrating credibility, going in, asking the right things, saying the right things, being focused on what you want. But before all of that is building relationships. Don't go in and go, hello there, hi, hello, Ian, my name's Richard Clapson. I'm looking for a good deal that makes profit. Ian thinks, what a chump. He's not even asked me how I am. Or you've got to build that rapport. So I hope we haven't met. Pleased to meet you. You local guy? And Ian says, no, just live 5 miles up the road, etc. So, oh, right, well, great. Whereabouts? So. You had a good weekend, and he might say, yeah, I did, or he might say, what's it got to do with you? You've got a better sack. But he might say, yeah, you had a good weekend. I went fishing. And I go, oh, boring. No, I would go, wow, fishing. That's really interesting. Whereabouts do you fish? And he would tell me where he fishes. Obviously, I wouldn't say that if I didn't like fishing, and I don't like fishing. But if I got to find some common ground. If he said like fishing, I go, oh, yeah, interesting, fishing. Any other hobbies? And he might, yeah, I'm a bit of a petrol head. I go, wow, so am I. Now I can relate to that. There's no point in me trying to relate to fishing. I relate to the cars. Do you get my point? Rapport, building relationships. And when we talk about this position in terms of where do you find deals and people don't know what to do, well, that is your easiest place to find a deal. That is your easiest route. Okay, there are others, but just for tonight, I'm going to tell you as a brand new developer, that is the easiest way. And the tricks of the trade, in very simple terms, is actually getting in there and building the relationship. But let me follow on with something else. It's knowing how to do a deal. What's a deal? How do you do a deal? You might be thinking, what do you mean? How do you do a deal? So what gets you in the frame? What does the vendor want? What does the vendor need? Again, maybe you can build some rapport with the vendor. Can you get to meet the vendor? Where there's a will, there's a way. It's a great old saying. So, don't think your first, don't just be banging in offers. And if you think, well, I can't afford it, I'm nowhere near. Try and find out what the motivation is. What's behind this? How can we package a deal? It's about deal making. All business is about deal making. I bought lots of companies in my time, sold some. And every company structure in terms of a purchase was different. And all I used to do is go out and find out what they wanted, what I wanted, and we'd try and strike a deal. It's about knowing how to do a deal. That is a massive tip and trick. How do you do a deal? Try and work that out. What it's about business. This isn't just about, that's for sale, I'll make you an offer. It's a business transaction. How do you do deals? Okay, again, you need to demonstrate credibility. It's not simple and very easy to get wrong. And then the last thing I just want to touch on, because I can see some questions coming in, so we want to jump onto those. Otherwise, I could be chatting away all night and it wouldn't be a Q&A show. Out the box thinking. Another number one top tip and trick is what can you do that someone else isn't doing? If you're just doing the same thing as everyone else, all pitching for that, what are you going to win? How are you going to win? You've got to be doing something different. Does it necessarily have to be residential? You're going to convert a commercial into residential. What about commercial to commercial? Students of ours will know. We talk about that. We try and train people in thinking out the box. Know your demographics. Maybe there's something different that you could do. Know how to sweat the asset. That means maximize the volume that you're going to convert. Block planning. Know how to block plan. What's a block plan? I hear you say. I don't hear you say that because it's a webinar, but I'm assuming that you say that if you know what I mean. It's just a saying. So out there, block plan. How do you block plan? How do you lay out the building? How do you maximize maybe the number of commercial units in it or residential, maybe a number of flats that you're going to put into something? You need to know how to block plan, how to lay out a building. Okay, you've got to push the scheme. A lot of developers just give up really, really quickly. They just give up, oh, no, it doesn't seem to work. Many a time, we've done a live academy day where we do live deals in the room, students support a deal and go, oh, it doesn't work. We find a way to make it work. So please make sure you do not follow the crowd. Don't just sit there on a Sunday morning waiting for the alerts and think you've done everything. Get in there, build relationships. That's what it's about. I can't really give you any more tips and tricks on that to start with. Make sure you know how to do deals. If you don't, find out, learn, get educated. Okay, doing deals, business, it's doing deals. What's the motivation? What do they want? And make sure you know what to do with something when you see it, because you get all that work, you build all that relationship, you get something in, you've struck a potential deal, well, you don't know what to do with the building. You're just fairly mundane. You don't know what to do with it. You need to know how to think out the box. You really, really do. I think with that one, there's an old saying, if you want to hide the treasure, put it in plain sight. Then no one will see it. You've heard of that. If not, you heard of it now anyway. But it is. A deal could be hiding in plain sight right in front of you. There we go. There's a few sort of tips and tricks on our very quick show this evening, just to get you started in. Have we got any questions coming on that?
We've got some questions, yeah. So we've got a few. Let me kick off with this one from Karen. Evening, Karen. Good to have you with us. Karen asks, what would you suggest is the best way to make the first contact with the commercial agents? So I think there's a few things getting your ducks in a row. So make sure, first of all, that you've got a list of the agents that you need to be contacting. So kind of research the area you're looking in, make sure you know who's covering it. I think the other thing is to make sure that you've not just got a phone number and an address. It's about who are likely to be the best person in that agency to talk to. You want one of the senior people. Don't really want to be making appointments to go and see the office junior, as it were, because they're not going to have a great lead into for deals for you. I think another thing to remember, it's very much a business. It's not a shop. Some kind of residential agents have people come in off the street and we're looking for a property, blah blah blah. With a commercial agent, yep, they do have a high street presence, many of them of sorts, but typically, you should view it as a business. So don't pop in on the way back from Sainsbury's armed with the 2 bags of sort of fruit and veg. And just say that you're popping in, because you just simply won't get treated seriously. Make sure you make an appointment, and actually better still, if you've got an assistant, virtual assistant, or somebody that you can get to make the appointments for you, that's a much better way of doing it. They may even be able to do a little bit of a research on your behalf to see who's the best person to see. And then back to Rich's point, when you're in there, don't say, I'm looking for stuff that makes a profit. Be specific about what it is that you're looking for. You only need to cover 3 things really. This is what I'm prepared to pay. This is where I'm looking, and this is the sort of property that I'm looking for. But make sure that you've kind of got that nailed. We're not trying to zoom in too specific, but you do need to give them a reasonable steer. And then finally, I just practice makes perfect. So rehearse, and kind of just go through those sort of elevator pitches beforehand, before you go and have those meetings. But a few tips there, Karen, on meeting your agents.
Good stuff. Right, Henry's question. Hello, Henry. Just picking up on the last point I've made about doing deals. He said, you talked about doing deals. I did, didn't I? How can I learn how to do deals? Is there a typical sort of deal that works? No, there's no sort of typical sort of deal. It's got to be creative. Okay, you've got to. This is a talent that I think to an extent you have or don't have. And I would imagine as an entrepreneur, you probably have it. Okay, most of you out there probably have this type of talent about being creative. The fact that you're listening to us tonight must mean you're entrepreneurial. You're thinking out the box. I want to do something different with my life. Maybe, I don't know. So you probably got that bit of talent to think laterally. Because a lot of people will go, I want to do something different with my life. Maybe I could get a pay rise off my boss. By the way, I better get in tonight and watch EastEnders on the telly, or whatever it is people watch these days. You're not. You're doing something different. You're thinking laterally. And I think, when I did my first deal, Henry, in buying a business, I didn't have a clue how to buy a business. I'd never done it before. I'd never been taught. So I'd gone out there and I just worked out what I wanted and what the person selling wanted, and we tried to structure a deal. So in reality, that's really what you've got to do. Now, one of the slight problems always with that is how long is that going to take you to really hone that skill down? If you want to short circuit it, and I might say that, mightn't I? But get yourself educated. Get on a program of some sort. One thing we do with our students, and we don't specifically in the course teach people the 3 or 4 standard ways to do deals, because there aren't. But I can tell you, pretty much every month when we're in the room training, a question comes up about doing deals, and they're all different. And we'll just give an opinion. And there was one this month. There was a question about how do we structure this deal? How can we sort this out? Maybe with some overage payments and this and that. And this is what the vendor wants. So we went, okay, let's have a think about that scenario. And we talked through the scenario. So one advantage of being in a community, Henry, where you're listening to lots of deals is that you're going to hear lots of things. Oh, that's something, and of course that just gets your juices, creative juices flowing, and you might take a bit of that, bit of this one, and package that together in your own deal processing. So yes, it's the sort of thing that you've probably got the skills. Just think about practicing it. If you want to fast track that, then of course get into a community where people can talk to you and you'll be listening to deals that are being done. There we go, Henry. Hopefully that's a good bit of advice for you. Ian, over to you. What's next?
Fantastic. One here from Rimsha. Good evening, Rimsha. You mentioned about block planning. I've tried to find some books to teach me how to do it. Any recommendations or suggestions? Okay, so what we're talking about block planning is basically, yeah, we're teaching students how to effectively sweat the assets. So as Richard's mentioned earlier, what we're trying to do is we're working out what the floor plan is of the building in question, and of course the $1 million question is how many flats can we put into that space? How can we maximize the use of the space? And also taking into account, it might not just be the number of flats we get in, but the type of flat and how we can make best use of the space, particularly if there's kind of some interesting shapes going on. Maybe there's opportunities to add other floors on, some mezzanine levels, whatever. So it's really about sweating the asset. And of course, the challenge is if you know how to do that, or if you don't know how to do that, then you're going to have to get somebody else to do it, or you're going to do it a little bit sort of rather sort of rudimentary, and then have to get somebody else to kind of do it properly after you. If that's an architect, that's going to cost a few bob, and it's probably going to take a bit of time as well. So the sweet spot here is to be able, if you can do it yourself, then it means as soon as you've got an opportunity and you've kind of progressed to the stage where you think, well, you know, on face value, this looks quite interesting, I can then knock up, and it's only a sketch, but it's a scale plan of the floor plate, and I can actually then start working out and know how to get the most number of units, or to get the maximum value out of that space. And then it enables you to get to a place where you can crunch your numbers and come up with a kind of first pass at the numbers. That then tells you whether it's kind of in or out, and if it's in, then of course then you can get to the next stage, and a bit further down the line you can work with your architect and get those plans kind of firmed up and see what they come up with in terms of a block plan. But for you to be able to do it yourself, yeah, I'm not aware if there's any other, I'm not sure, that I've never seen any books on the market on how to do it, but it is a really good skill to learn if you can, because it saves you time and it saves you money as well. I hope that helps, Richie.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Next question here, Darren. Hello, Darren. He says, are average refurb costs going up from £1,000 to £1,200 a square metre, and new build costs up from £2,000 to £2,500 a square metre at the moment? If so, do you think they would go back down? Look, costs have definitely gone up, Darren. Are those figures accurate? You know, in some areas possibly. I don't know whether that's average across the country, but we do have this issue right now, okay, where, and we have had for a few months, where material costs have gone up and they have put money onto deals. Cost consultants out there are generally reporting an uplift in those costs. Are they those sort of levels? I think it depends on obviously the refurb you're doing, because you can easily spend, you know, way more than $1,250 on a refurb if you've got something quite complex. So I think, yes, material costs might be going up, but the actual building you do, and when we talk about thinking out the box and sweating the asset, if you're clever with your layouts and block planning, any uplift that you might have got in material costs, you might be able to offset in a bit of clever design, because clever design doesn't cost anything. So that's one way to look at things. The other thing is substitution of materials, because not all materials have gone up. There are some materials which have got a shortage. But when you look at your overall material costs, there are some things which haven't. So can you replace those materials that have got excessive cost in them with something else? And it's not always the cost. Sometimes it's the delivery and it's the timescale and availability. So you need to be thinking about that. It might be okay to accept a bit more premium, but if it takes even longer, then obviously your project is out for longer, which means your borrowings are higher. So you've got to be thinking about that as well. So yes, they've definitely gone up. To that extent, I mean, 25% on materials overall, I don't think so. Okay, some materials have definitely gone up, some areas have doubled. I think one of the problems, to an extent, is, you know, there's a fair bit of work out there in the industry. contractors and the market will dictate what the market wants to charge for a project. So when everyone's busy, and particularly when they can hang their hat on a material costs have gone up type excuse, then all tenders tend to go up. And that's often the way, supply and demand. So yes, they've definitely gone up. I would be dealing with your cost consultant to really get a handle in your area as well, because it does differ a little bit geographically around the country, and the type of project. As I say, it's not all materials, but some materials have. What could you do, and really what is the detail behind this? What is it really going to affect when you're trying to look to estimate your project costs at the beginning? Do I think they will come back down? Yes, I do. Okay, because look, the material costs have gone up for several reasons. The Brexit is one of them. Brexit is an ongoing issue, and some of that will probably be stuck within the pricing increase for some time, maybe until other suppliers come into the market. The Suez Canal that got blocked, none of us probably remember that now, but it did. That had a bit of an impact as well. That's all should, in theory, be over. But what we know in this industry, having been in this industry nearly 40 years, that material prices go up quite quick. Well, they come down a lot slower, like all sorts of price increases. Now, they will come down, and what happens is it's a bit like fuel price wars with supermarkets. As soon as someone breaks rank, everyone has to do it. So it's supply and demand. So when you've got a contractor out there that's desperate for some work, their pencil gets a bit sharpened. That material increase that we did have that perhaps now has disappeared, now they sharpen their pencil and they bring it down to a lower level. So yes, I think they will come down. I think, you know, the supply and demand through the Suez Canal issue is sort of gone away. Brexit is sort of there. We sort of learned to live with it. COVID, of course, we know has impacted certain things. And again, as we move forward, you know, if that's the new norm, we learn to live with it. Construction industry, though, to an extent, and the manufacturing has been open and been trying to encourage, you know, to be run, you know, at normal levels for some time now. So yes, they've probably gone up a bit. Is it that extent, or do I think they will come down? Yes, I do. Ian, what's next?
One here from Debs. Good evening, Debs. Debs asks, would residential agents be a good place to find conversion opportunities? They are much more approachable. Well, I guess in some respects they are more approachable because that's the nature of their business. They've got people coming in off the street looking for properties. So, and every residential estate agent has a smiley face, even on Monday normally. Look, you're going to need to go to commercial agents is long and the short of it. I mean, there's no harm in asking residential agents to be on the lookout for you. For starters, you're going to be using residential agents to sell your properties. You're going to be using residential agents right off the bat, actually. So once you've got a deal and it's looking good and you've reached a point where you're considering an offer, you're going to want to speak to residential agents locally to make sure that you kind of got your assumptions right in terms of the selling price, fit and finish, what your audience, your target market is, and what they're looking for in the property. So absolutely no harm in telling them what sort of properties that you're looking for. They are plugged into the market after all. So yeah, and some agents actually have a commercial arm and a residential arm. But what I'd say is that those would probably be slim pickings. It's one of those things, there's just no harm in doing it, but you're far more likely to be getting conversion opportunities from commercial agents. So it's about kind of biting that bullet. They are because it is more of a business kind of relationship. They are, I guess, less approachable. But if you go about it in the right way, then you can certainly make a really good impression. So I think commercial is probably the way to go. Hope that helps. Richie.
Good stuff. Here's another one, slightly away from the subject we're talking about tonight, but an interesting question. Shops with uppers or shops with tops, it says here. Is it better to keep one big shop or split it into two smaller ones, please? It's always good when you say please. What are the minimum footage for the shop front? There's lots of questions here. Who are the key people to get involved to get the shop split into two? Okay. So is it better to keep one big shop or split it into two? Well, that depends on what you want to do with the shop and who's going to rent it or who's going to buy it off of you. You may need to split the shop into two to get the uppers converted into more flats, depending on the use class. There are things we can do with permitted development rights, class MA, class G. Some of us require to split the shop into two to get more flats above. So depending on what's going on there. So there may be a requirement for you to do that. Also, though, you've got to look at then the requirement for what you're going to do with that shop unit. If the demand is for one big shop unit in the area, and commercial agents will tell you what that likely is to be or not be, then that's probably where you want to keep it. Obviously, though, taking into consideration what you may or may not need to do to get the permitted development rights that you require to convert the above, assuming you're going to convert it to residential. If the requirement in the area is, as you know, let's have smaller units, then that's fine. There is no minimum square footage. There's no minimum size that a shop can be. It can be whatever you want. Having said that, it's got to be practical. So if you want someone to buy this as an investment or to an owner occupier, or you want to hold and rent it out, what's the minimum you can do? So you need to be thinking and talking to commercial agents, what's the demand in this area? You know, is it a couple of 20 square meter shops? Is it 10 square meter shops? Is it 15? What is it? Okay. Or is it the one big shop? So your local commercial agents will talk to you about that. In terms of who do you get involved to get the split, you just get on and do it. Okay. No planning permission required to split one shop into two. You just have to register it with the local authority for rating. So now you've taken one shop, you split it into two. Now you're going to have to apply for that. So literally, you can just get on and do it, physically get a builder in and do it, make sure you comply with building regulations, but then split that, no planning permission required. There we go. Hopefully that's given you a little bit of a steer on that, Helen. No problem at all. Hopefully you enjoyed that answer. Ian, what's next?
We've got one here from Mosin. Good evening, Mosin. Hi, I understand that we need to connect with agents, but how do you position yourself with commercial agents so that you get considered for potential opportunities they have, especially if you don't have a track record of delivering? Okay, great question. So there's a few things that you need to consider. I mentioned one earlier, which is don't pop back on the way from Sainsbury's armed with groceries. You want to make an appointment and think kind of professional is the way to go. We're trying to look like a professional. We're not trying to blag or trying to present ourselves as an established property developer when we're not. But that absolutely is not a problem, because as you probably guessed, if there was a requirement that was that everybody that walked through the door has already have to have done some property development, then they quickly run out of developers. So they are always interested in getting new clients, because of course the successful first-time developer goes on to be the second-time developer, the third-time developer, and so on. So they end up having repeat custom. The key things you're going to be looking for before you go in is to create a brand. That's really important. So we're talking about things like having a website, business cards, and so on. So basically you are looking professional. They're going to check you out. They're going to before you go in, you made an appointment, so they're going to see if they can find you online, check out your website. Also have that elevator pitch nailed. I kind of mentioned that earlier because it's so important, and it's not a script. It's very much just you being able to talk about your business, talk about what it is you're looking for, and again, to look professional. At the end of the day, when it comes to what the role of the property developer, they are not going to be laying any bricks. They're not going to be designing anything, may not even choose the curtains. At the end of the day, they're the person that runs the business, that kind of pulls all of these professionals together to deliver a project. And at the end of the day, that's your role. You've got to do that. You've got to put the finance together. You've got to put the team together, and so on and so forth. But you're the entrepreneur that's making all that happen, and they know that. So what you've got to do for sure is to get that credibility, so that they have got that confidence that you're going to be proceedable. And that's, at the end of the day, it's from an agent's perspective, it's really about having those two things: a good offer for sure, but also giving them the confidence that you're serious, that if you make an offer, that you will be able to go ahead with it. And there is so many things that you can do to kind of build that picture with the way you approach that initial meeting with the agent, and making yourself look good without ever having to tell tales or kind of big up some experience that you don't have. That's definitely not the way to go about it. You'll very quickly get caught out, but it's perfectly possible, because the skills we're using to develop property are entrepreneurial skills at the end of the day, and some kind of business skills and management skills and people skills. Ultimately, it's going to be our team that delivers on all the technical side of the project. And yeah, providing you go in there looking professional, then you'll get treated professionally, you get treated seriously, and you can kind of take things from there. So don't worry about not having a track record. Of course, wouldn't it be great if you've built, if you've got a long record with the estate agent, if you've got thousands of properties you've built, but really that is not essential for doing business with an estate agent. There are lots of other things that are, but you're going to have a lot of those skills already, and you can present yourself in the right way. So Mosin, hope that helps. Good luck with your agents.
Good stuff. Okay, Anil says, finding deals, this is another thing about finding deals, is not a problem. Sorry, about money on deals. Finding deals is not a problem. Okay, excellent. I'm glad you're sorted on that, because a lot of people are struggling. But the issue that I'm facing is trying to estimate the build development cost. Apart from using the per square meter build and sales costs plus builders, don't want to use builders, don't do that. If you can find them, yeah, because you can't find them anyway, but they just tell you what you want to hear. Don't go and get a builder to give you an estimate. Are there any other resources that you can recommend? Yes, cost consultant, quantity surveyor, one of the same thing. And that's where you need to go. You want to get out in the industry, talk to cost consultants, quantity surveyors, and get them to give you some quotations for the work you want. But you need to give them sensible information. Otherwise, it's rubbish in, rubbish out. You're going to tell them what you're doing, what the work involves, what sort of level you want to do it, and so on and so forth. Maybe some floor plans. They will then give you a good steer. So, Anil, a good cost consultant or quantity surveyor will help. I'm going to do one more because I just feel a bit of a flow, and I saw this one just now. And I just feel like I'm just on a roll here, so I'm just gonna do it and keep talking, and hopefully Ian doesn't butt in. What is your experience of finding opportunities through direct to vendor for commercial property? It can work. Okay, touched on it very briefly tonight, but just want to answer this one quickly. Yes, but there is a way. Okay, this is not leaflet dropping in the commercial world. This isn't stuffing leaflets through doors. You will not get anywhere. There is a way that you can get direct to vendor on commercial property and pretty much guarantee that you will get a response. Now, that's pretty rare, but there is a way that you do it. Am I going to explain that to you tonight? No, I can't, just in terms of timescale. But in terms of the question, yes, it can work extremely well, okay, if you do it the right way. Jonathan, hope that just gives you a bit of a steer. I know I can't tell you the answer, but it's about how you communicate with them, how you link up with them, how you get professionals to link with professionals, not just leaflet dropping. Gives you a bit of a steer, Ian, what's next?
I'm allowed to go now, man. Fantastic.
Yeah, go for it.
Well, I'm going to ask this one from Tom, actually, because I was a bit worried that you might have spotted it and gone into one of your funny turns, because it's about pubs. So Tom says, I know you say don't go for pubs. Yeah, we've definitely heard that before on this show from somebody. But what if they already have planning permission in place? Should that be a good deal? Okay, so the pubs are a little bit problematic generally. First of all, they fall into kind of sui generis, so there's no permitted development rights on pubs. Also, they are quite often considered community assets, and as you can probably imagine, it's ever the way that pubs don't do any business, then they close, and then all the people that didn't go in the pubs before they closed then sort of up in arms if somebody tries to develop it. So there's quite a lot of noise that goes on with regards to pub conversions. I think one of the biggest thing, though, if you've got planning permission in place, then of course pubs make great buildings to convert for lots of different reasons. But if somebody else has got the planning permission, then kind of they've got the advantage. They've taken there's going to be an uplift on the value of that site that you're going to pay as a result of them getting the planning permission. What you're trying to do is to find opportunities where there isn't planning permission, ideally where you've got permitted development rights, because you can then get the benefit of the uplift in value from developing it. Ultimately, if something's got planning permission, it doesn't have to be a pub, it could be anything you see on the portals or in the estate agent's window. If it's got planning permission already, you've got to ask yourself, well, who's going to win that deal? It's probably going to be the person that can either develop it the cheapest or is willing to take the least profit, or potentially they've got their numbers wrong. But either way, any of those three, you really don't want it to be you. So I would steer clear of stuff with planning permission. I mean, there's a load of stuff that you don't have to go through if it's got planning permission, but equally you've got to say, I'm not sure you'll get a fair, the best profit from deals like that. Hope that helps, Tom.
Good stuff. Well, look, we're about 1:45, but there's a couple of ones, and I can't remember where they're coming in. See if I can find them, which I just want to quickly say something on. Helen asked about capital allowances and when can you claim them? As soon as you can, Helen. In theory, is providing you go to get an expert on this. Okay, there are experts out there in terms of capital allowances. They will guide you. But in theory, there's no time scale, providing you own the asset. But I think the asset still has to trade. Of course, if you're going to convert the asset, into say residential, you want to do that as early as possible to maximize those savings. So I think that's really important that you do that. I saw someone else ask a question. I can't see who asked it at the minute. I'll try and scan down and find it. Somewhere in there, someone said about 20% profit on GDV. You know, because it's quite difficult at the moment with cost, could you lower that and maybe accept 15 to 17% while times are hard? No. Simple no. Okay. And the reason is you're going to expose yourself to more risk that you do not need. Okay, you need to look for a minimum of 20%. And if you can't find 20%, maybe you're not doing something right. Maybe you're not sweating the asset. Maybe you need to think out the box a little bit more. And last question, which I see here, Iddy says, how much money do I have to save to start to do development? Look, maybe less than what you think. Can you do development without any of your own money? Yes, you can. Is it more difficult? Yes, it blooming well is. You can get into a deal, okay, with about £12,000 and leverage that up to £250,000 profit. That's the reality. You probably need 20, okay, because you're going to have some solicitors costs and other bits and pieces that you've got to pay up front, company. And so if you got 20 grand, okay, that's a nice, comfortable place to leverage your way into a comfortable 6-figure deal. Okay, if you've got no money, it's possible, but it's much harder work, and there are ways you do it. Hopefully that has answered all of those questions. Now, there is a stack of questions. There is a lot of questions on here this evening, folks. And, well, we can't answer them all, Ian, can we? It's not possible.
We can't, I'm afraid. Sorry about that. But you've had a good crack.
Yeah, I do apologize for that. So please, folks, they're all there. You have to come back next week. Please ask the questions again, and we'll try and do our best to get through as many as we can. There's a stack of you on here this evening. Please let us know if you've enjoyed the show. We put this show on for you. We hopefully make it a bit of fun, a bit entertaining. And as I say, we always try and get you away within 45 minutes. If you have enjoyed the show, pop that in the chat box and let us know. Next week's show is the 27th, Thursday, the 27th of January at 7 o'clock. Same time, same place. Now, if you are interested, I know there was a few questions about this and that this evening. We have got some webinars running. We've got a webinar running on Saturday. If anyone's interested, and this is about 2.5 to 3 hours, it's a half day, completely free. If you want to learn a little bit more about development, okay, come and join us. So if you just write this down, grab a pen and paper and write this down, okay, and just so it's propertyceo.co.uk. You should remember that bit /SFR, 6-figure roadmap. So propertyceo.co.uk /SFR. If you're unsure, just email in at support@propertyCEO and say, what was that link? I didn't write it down. I didn't have a pen. We haven't got a pen. You're not organized. Get a pen for next time. But if you want to come and join us on Saturday morning, myself and Ian, we're going to give you a little bit more insight into some of the stuff. I know some of the questions that I can see that you've asked, quite a few have asked today. I know we'll answer some of those on the session on Saturday. So please come and join us. Been a bit of fun, isn't it, Ian?
That's been really good. Yeah. Loving it.
Stuff. So what are people saying? Helen says, thank you very much. Thank you, says Iddy. Dan says, a cracking show, guys. Oh, thank you very much. Christian says, thanks, guys. First time attending, and we'll be back on the fast track. Are you coming on fast track course next week? Christina, good to see you on the fast track. Yes, the show has been good. Well, I thought it had been good as well. And we're going to see you on the fast track. Fast track is actually a course that we do. Please, if anyone's interested, pop onto our website. You can see a bit about that. Yvonne says, great info as always, although Yvonne turned up late, as we well know. Anna says, yes, this was great. And thank you for the tips. No problem at all. Always appreciate it, said Helen. Yvette says, what are the supposed prizes at the beginning of the show? Oh, well, you missed them, Yvette. You should come back next week. And we will be back next week with more prizes, more giveaways, same time next week. Have a good week. See you soon now. Cheers. Bye-bye.